This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Do you play FanDuel and feel like you aren't creating consistent money-making lineups? Go over to the DFS Doctors on Twitter at the DFS Doctors and DM them with promo code Detroit Sports to get a free trial for their analytically formulated 70% lifetime profit rate NFL and NBA lineups. The whole purpose of playing daily fantasy sports is to get out there and compete and give yourself a chance to win. So go over to the DFS Doctors. Let them help you. They have analysts on staff that look at the best optimal lineup that you can put out there to win money. So why not take advantage? At the DFS Doctors, promo code Detroit Sports.
CBD is a game changer sweeping the nation. This hemp extract is the natural way to elevate your mood, eliminate aches and pains, reduce anxiety, and keep you sleeping all night long. It can even cut your workout recovery time in half. Get in the game today with 20% off all orders of CBD and lavender products from Lavender Lane, a lavender farm located right here in Milan, Michigan. Just go to lavenderlanemi.com today and enter coupon code Detroit for 20% off your entire order. Guys, look, these amazing products are infused with calming lavender to maximize their effectiveness, meaning your CBD items only take minutes to take effect, which is way quicker than those pills you were about to swallow. On top of it, they are perfect for men and women. Lavender Lane has lab-tested CBD creams, tinctures, and roll-ons that are perfect for any situation, even if you're on the go. Put your health back in your hands by heading over to lavenderlanemi.com and entering coupon code Detroit for 20% off your entire order of CBD and lavender products. What do you have to lose? Your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. So if you need lavender gifts for your loved ones or just looking for the natural way to ease your discomfort with CBD, go to lavenderlanemi.com and use coupon code Detroit to unlock these miraculous benefits of CBD and lavender. That's lavenderlanemi.com. And remember, use coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your CBD and lavender products from Michigan's own Lavender Lane.
Welcome in to the Monday Mashup on Detroit Sports Podcast. Once again, tough week in Detroit sports. Andre Drummond could have been traded, wasn't traded. We need to rename this podcast network. Detroit sports suck.
Yeah.
It just makes it sound bad at the very start of this.
It's starting to pile on.
It's getting rough. It's not something you want to be associated with at the moment.
Nah.
I saw it. I don't know if you saw it. I'm sure you did. I couldn't escape it. It kept popping up on Facebook that in the year 2019, Detroit professional sports sustained more losses than any city had ever had, ever.
I didn't see that, actually, but thank you.
230 something, something insane. More losses than any city.
The Tigers lost like 100 and however many of those
They won
games.
49 games. Yeah, the Tigers played a very big part in this. But, every other team stinks.
Yeah, they're not good. It's not like the Wings are good.
The Pistons are... I don't even... we'll get to the NBA later in the show. We want to start with championship weekend. But it's getting really sad watching the Pistons not do things that they so obviously need to do.
Derrick Rose threw a pen into the stands.
Yeah, I totally missed that.
That was fun.
I totally missed that.
Of all things.
I guess we'll open Pistons here just out of nowhere, transition into the championship games maybe in a little bit. But what is the deal? It's extremely upsetting to me when I keep seeing Andre Drummond and Derrick Rose get 30 minutes a game when they might not be on the team in 2 weeks.
Well, they need to trade them. They need to up the trade value, so Derrick Rose needs to continue. Derrick Rose has been playing great basketball.
He's been playing fantastic.
Offensively. Been playing great
but don't you think playing 30 minutes a night, Derrick Rose, playing 30 minutes a night is a recipe to blow his knee?
Yeah, we've seen that movie.
It's going to be real tough to trade him if he's in a wheelchair.
I don't want to think about that. But, it's fun to play the Hawks and have 27 and 9 in 26 minutes. But you're playing the Hawks. Like, every other team that's scouting Derrick Rose knows that he's playing against the Hawks, so that's just a normal thing. You don't need to play him those minutes. And you don't need to have him have that type of night. And Drummond gets 16 and 17 and shoot it 15 times. Like, these are just games that are, all right, everybody look at him. We're going to leave him out here against the Hawks so that they'll trade for him. And they hope they'll take Derrick Rose with them, too, because they need a backup point guard. But instead, they're just going to get Jeff Teague. Yeah, we'll take Jeff Teague.
I see. Didn't Jeff Teague just get... Yeah, so...
That's what I'm saying. Like, they left D. Rose and Drummond out there for 30 minutes against the Hawks, even though they were up by 30. hoping the Hawks would want to trade for them, and instead the Hawks traded for Jeff Teague.
And then the Hawks came out with very obvious. We are preferring to look at Steven Adams. Yes, duh. I would prefer Steven Adams to Andre Drummond as well.
Stephen A. thing. If I could get Devin Booker for I might be interested. I don't know.
So the Stephen A. stuff too. Jesus, this is the thing about trade deadline. Is so much of the media exposes the fact, and I don't want to bury too many people, but a lot of people get on Twitter or get on a TV show and are very shameless in exposing the fact that they don't understand how NBA trades work at all.
What he suggested was so outlandish that even respectable people were like, yo, no, what the fuck is that? It wasn't just trolls being like, oh, what an idiot. It was like Bill Simmons being like, no, I need to teach you about how trades work.
And even Bill Simmons isn't that highly respected.
Right.
If Bill Simmons is the one who's coming out and going, let me tell you why your basketball take is bad, you need to understand you did something really wrong. Because it's been a while since Bill Simmons had a take that was like, that's really nuanced and smart. So what about Stephen A. was like, the Lakers should just trade Kuzma and other players and a couple picks for...
Which they don't have.
For Devin Booker, who, by the way, is on a 5-year max contract.
And who is, sneakily one of the top 5 guards in the NBA this year? Scoring-wise, without a doubt?
I'd say he's been a top 25 player, no?
Yeah. I mean, he's been outstanding.
He's been really good.
This is definitely not the year they would trade him.
And
especially for Kyle Kuzma.
And then it's like, Stephen A., do you have any idea what Kyle Kuzma makes? And I know most of the people listening to this podcast don't know what Kyle Kuzma makes. But
I didn't until I looked.
It's what, $1.4 million? Yeah.
Something like that. It's the 27th pick.
It's a very, very small number. So it's not going to be
to grow considerably after next year. So this is not the time you want him.
You're not going to match his salary to a guy who makes $28 million, and you're certainly not going to.
More than that?
It might be 30.
Yeah, I just say it was a 5 for 156 or something like that.
But you're certainly not going to be able to match it with mediocre talent.
Anything you have resembling Danny Green, Kyle Kuzma, and the like is not going to get you Devin Booker. It's barely going to get you Langston Galloway and Andre Drummond.
That's just... If you're going to do Trade Machine, I feel like you need a classification. Yeah, like ESPN, when you turn on Trade Machine, should be like, we need to teach you how trades work. Yeah. Because I also had to deal with...
The Trade Machine doesn't... It only matches money and the ability of that player to be traded.
Yep.
It doesn't...
Logic
picks,
doesn't match things, at all.
No.
It doesn't have any factor in there. That's why, on the Ringer podcast, I sent this trade to you, and I have to look back in our text to see exactly what it was because it was so absolutely insane. This is also kind of a Pistons Twitter thing. Don't just put trades out there that have zero chance of happening. Like when you throw out Andre Drummond for Gordon Hayward straight up. Why would the Celtics do that? It's like you have to think.
You know what? Do it, Danny. I mean, hey.
Why would Team A do it? And B, is this even possible? Like this one from the Ringer, and it was on the NBA show. I don't know exactly who proposed it, but Philly would get Montrezl Harrell, Landry Shamet, Mo Harkless, and a first-round pick thrown as an afterthought. It was literally, throw in a pick to make it work.
Don't have.
Right. They don't. The Clippers don't even have the pick, but throw in a pick. The Clippers would get Joel Embiid.
That's what you do. Trade for a big man with a bad knee in the middle of a season.
This is a media-credentialed podcast suggesting this trade.
Yeah, the Clippers would definitely do that. They're an idiotic team, obviously, so they would obviously do that. And Elton Brand definitely could pull that one off.
Dude, are you kidding? If the Clippers could move Trez Shamet, Harkless, and a pick for Embiid, they would do it in an eye blink.
I don't know if they do it right now. They do it next summer, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They might even do it right. They could use a big pretty bad. If they had a big, they'd probably walk to a championship.
Defensively, he makes you, oh my God. But offensively, it's clunky as hell. It's really clunky. And you take away one of the top 3 pick and rolls in the NBA with Lou Will and Trez.
Is it really... Would a Lou Will Embiid pick and roll be that much worse?
Embiid is more suited to run pick and rolls when he's holding the ball for a shooter to curl off him with JJ Redick. But I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't work. Lou Will is one of the best pick and roll players, one of the best manipulators of a screen there is in the game, and Joel Embiid is Joel Embiid. So this is a trade that will never ever happen that we're giving credence to. But like, no, I don't think they do it in the middle of the year. I really don't.
My question, and this is more just an Embiid thing, because the Sixers are also candidates to make a trade.
Embiid also has a hurt knee right now, too.
Right, but it's when I look at Embiid, I want to see him do what he likes to do, which is play at the rim and dunk.
Yeah.
Not have to stretch because your point guard won't shoot, which is like, that's why I think...
Which he said out loud now. He said as much.
I think like you put Embiid on 29 other teams and he can play much more to his style of basketball.
He's even more of an MVP threat if he's on 29 other teams.
Right, it's like... So that's where I feel like other teams would look at it and go, yeah, I'd like to have Joel Embiid with the ability to do what he enjoys. That sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade Joel Embiid.
No.
I just want to make that very clear.
No.
Anyone thinking that I'm out here saying, like, no, I would not trade Joel Embiid.
And it's been floated a scary amount that people are like, well, the Sixers should consider trading Joel Embiid. No.
I wouldn't. I think Elton Brand might, but I wouldn't.
Because Elton Brand's a lunatic. But if they're going to consider trading anyone that's a foundational player, it's Ben Simmons.
I would hope.
I think they're going to trade...
I don't even consider Tobias to be a foundational player. They're obviously considering trading Tobias.
For whatever reason, despite the fact that they're in the same division, despite the fact that they're rivals, the Celtics and the Sixers make trades with each other a wild amount.
One of them just had a triple-double and beat the Lakers the other night.
What if... Could you sell the Sixers on Gordon Hayward for Al Horford?
It's not like a your junk for our junk thing because they're both really good.
It's just this guy's not working here, this guy's not working here.
Yeah.
Like neither of them are working in either situation, and it's like
circle gets a square, let's swap.
Yeah, maybe it's mutually beneficial because the Sixers desperately need someone that can shoot threes decently well and play on the wing, and let Joel do less of that. And the Celtics desperately need someone who can play center and defend.
It's one of those that, it makes sense, but there's a million things that could happen in the final hour that would be like, no, we're not doing this.
Yeah, and it's also like Elton Brand would sit there and go, how much better am I making the Celtics? And Danny would sit there and go, how much better am I making the Sixers?
I will say this, though. Elton Brand should be looking like, I think that offer would have to come from Danny. And I think Elton Brand should be looking at that and being like, I'm off how much money if I get rid of Al Horford? And I have to pay how much to Tobias? Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, no, because
if they could go back, they would not have signed Al Horford.
And you start looking at, and exactly, because the only reason that they signed Al Horford was and we don't want to play against Al Horford in a playoff series, which might be the reason that the trade wouldn't happen too. Is like as much as we don't like what he's done here, and as much as we're overpaying him, we don't want to play against him in the playoffs. But at the same time, if you take on Gordon Hayward, you just came up with $37 million in expiring money.
It was pretty set in stone that if he didn't go to Philly, he was just going to stay in Boston.
Yes.
So
at the final hour of his signing, he almost signed in Boston.
Yeah. So I mean, if you didn't spend what is it, $30 million a year on Horford?
Mm-hmm.
That's 12 you give to Redick, another 10 you can give to somebody else, another mid-level exception you have. That's just stuff you probably should have thought through. Losing J.J. Redick was such a big thing for he's starting in New Orleans. He's averaging 16 and a half a game.
He's having an incredible season.
He's 35 years old.
He's having an incredible season.
This is just the stuff he does.
This is
who he is.
Now I have to look because I saw his 3-point percentage the other day and I was amazed. It was very high.
It's got to be 40 plus, 44 probably.
It was 44. I want to say it might have been 46 at one point, and I was like, what in the world?
That's what he does. That's who he is. That's what he does. And you get that automatic 16 points in your lineup.
Yeah.
And a dude
Holy
plays
mercy.
perfectly off Joel Embiid, and you let that walk away for Al Horford.
J.J. Redick is at 47% from 3.
He's a perfect two guard to play with a 3 in Josh Richardson, a 4 with Harris, and a 5 with Embiid, and then you have Simmons. That's a good lineup. You have a good defender in Richardson. You have a bad defender in Redick. Okay. You have a good shooter in Redick. He can stay on the floor with that lineup because you're so switchable with Tobias and Ben and Richardson. You didn't need Al Horford. I understand you didn't want to play against him, and you needed to spend the money you weren't spending on Jimmy. You probably should have spent it on J.J. Redick. I don't know why you didn't do that. Like that's one of the biggest question marks from the summer for me is why Philly was like it wasn't even talked about. They were just content to let him go, even if they didn't get Al Horford.
Right.
They weren't going to pay him. I didn't get it.
It was such a weird deal at the time, and like I remember we were sitting on a pod when it happened, and the first thing I said was, "This sucks," because obviously I was biased. The first thing that we really reacted to was, this isn't going to work in their half court.
Oh, yeah. No, everybody knew that right away. It was like, wait. But Simmons is already in the dunker spot, and he's not going to... And then everybody's like, no, he's going to shoot threes. He's going to shoot three. Okay, I'll believe it when I see it. He shot like 2 threes. Like, if he starts to shoot threes by some stroke of miracle, yes, it will work. Like, they will space. If he shoots threes at 31%, it will work. Like, not beautifully, but it will work.
Right.
Like, and they will be a nightmare on defense because they are a nightmare on defense.
Oh, dude, and that's what, like, Brett Brown is screaming it at him. The problem with Brett Brown is Brett Brown does the whole thing where it's like, tell his agent to... No, that got thrown out the window when Elton Brand gave him $180 million without him ever hitting a three.
Brett Brown is just like, sometimes you need a new message. That guy's been there for a long time and a lot of failure.
I get that, but we got, like, the thing I told you, and I don't even know if we said it on the actual show last week, but I think I said it last week, was as much as we've slandered Brett Brown for not being able to put this together, who's the coach that does it?
Did they put somebody on his bench? I forget. I can't remember if they put somebody on his bench this summer. If they didn't, they should have. Like, there should have been somebody on his bench new this summer that's like, hey, if this whole thing fucks up Christmas time, this guy. Like, that, what the Lakers did with Jason Kidd, what other teams have done like that, what Cleveland did with Bickerstaff.
Even what the Spurs did with now Tim Duncan and Becky Hammon.
Sure. Like, I mean, that's what you do. You have a guy there that, hey, if this whole thing goes tits up, well, we go to this guy. And they probably should have done that too. Like, I don't know who... Former head coach Ty Lue, like they just brought him into
that would have been fine.
Why didn't that happen? That probably should have happened in Philly.
But it is. I do think he's had his hands tied a little bit, and like maybe even been neutered by his GM. Like he just straight up had his balls cut off with the ability to manage his players, because it's tough to send a message, tell his agent I need him shooting threes, when he's already making $180 million and fully guaranteed money.
You're right about that, but he was also given one of the best defensive lineups in a long time.
Yeah, no, that...
Like, all you have to do is make them score 110 a game, and we're going to win a lot. Like...
maybe even not 110.
Yeah,
I mean, if they were hitting 101, you might...
You got 4 All-Stars. You better get 110.
What's their...
All-Stars.
Now I got to look at their
Tobias
offensive rating.
Tobias has never been an All-Star. Jesus Christ, he had $177 million. He's never been an All-Star. Spent most of his career in the East. Never been an All-Star. $177 million. I'll just keep going back to that. I mean, good for Tobias, but like...
Well, and that was it, though, right? I mean, you paid Tobias Harris $180 million, and that should have been the moment that all of us looked at it and went...
Well, that's a reach.
This isn't going to work. Their offensive rating is 108.7. So 109 points per 100 possessions, and they're the 6th seed in the East. The thing we really need to talk about regarding them being the 6th seed in the East, there's no disparity between 6 and 2, and
2 is so important.
I don't know if regular NBA fan has caught up to this yet. The Eastern Conference is significantly better than the Western Conference.
Yeah, the bottom of the West is like, it's kind of a taut. Like, there's 6 teams in the East who are better than everybody else in the East. Like, if you want to say top heavy, that's fine, but 6 I think is a little bit past the top.
Correct.
So
then you look at the West, and it's not a whole lot different.
There are I think there are 7 teams in the West, but only 2 that you think have a chance to actually win.
And that's where
there are teams in the West who are as good as the teams in the East, but they're not like the top of the West and the top of the East.
And also, when they play East teams, like when the Rockets go to the East, they don't win games against the top of the Eastern Conference. Right. And that's where it's like, yeah, you have 7 teams that have a nice record in the West, but the bottom of the West is really, really bad.
I mean, the Memphis Grizzlies are the 8. Like, they have a veteran who refused to play for them because they were supposed to be that bad, and they're the 8. Like, I mean, that's yeah.
Honest to God, if you're Andre Iguodala at this point,
no, you can't. You can't now. Like, you have committed. You played the long game. You can't.
They might not even be interested in having you put on a uniform at this point.
Even if they wanted to just have you come back and be around the team, like, you're not stealing minutes from Dylan Brooks right now. He's playing out of his mind. Like,
they're on an incredible run, and
I mean, Morant is.
If they weren't holding on to a protected pick, that becomes unprotected if they're bad next year that the Celtics get, I would enjoy watching it very, very much. But since it's biased into my team, I despise this run that they're on.
But Morant is electric.
Morant's incredible. Jaren's having an incredible season.
Brooks has been very, very good. They've got some. I like Tyus Jones off the bench. I know there's a lot of whichever Jones at Duke, but they could easily be the 8. Like, they will get slaughtered alive by the Lakers.
Oh yeah, they'll get killed.
They could be the 8.
How close are they to being legitimately good? Because like Brandon Clark is good.
Brandon Clark is good.
Jaren Jackson is good. Ja Morant is an all-star.
I'll tell you what, Ja Morant makes Jaren Jackson a hell of a lot. Like, Jaren Jackson had flashes last year where you were like, damn, he's good. Man, I wish he could stop fouling. Man, I wish he would have stayed healthy. Like, those things all happen. Ja Morant makes him like, oh, wow, that's a hell of a combo.
Ja Morant reminds me of when Trey got into the league, but way better. Where everybody was like, well, this kid, we knew he'd be good. And it's not even fair. It's just like they're at the same position and they had incredible rookie years.
Young?
No, Trey Young.
I mean, he was trash till February.
I know, but I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? Like this last, where we started saying late last year, Trey's rookie of the year. He's been incredible. He's this insane passer. He started getting,
like 5 game winners in a month.
He started getting the Steph Curry, Steve Nash stuff where it's like this is in his DNA. Right. And like what Ja is doing reminds me of that, but it's at an entirely different level. It's like Russell Westbrook's athleticism mixed with actual good guard defense. Like when I watch him play, he's an all-NBA guard. At some point in the near future, that's an all-NBA guard.
He's got feel. Like, he's just got... You see it when he plays. It's almost like a... The thing with Trae Young, when you see him play, it's... That dude has played with the ball in his hand his whole freaking life.
Yeah.
And Ja Morant played on an AAU team with Zion Williamson.
That's a really good compare, because Trae Young clearly has always been the best player on the floor and always believed that he's the best player on the floor.
Here's the difference. Why I hate the Trae Young versus Steph Curry comparison. You ever seen Trae Young run off a screen? You ever seen him dance in and run through the paint, dance and run? No, he doesn't know what to do when the ball's not in his hand. He has to have the ball, which is fine. I mean, I don't want to sit here and sound like I'm ripping Trae Young because he's amazing.
No, he's a great player.
On offense, he's only on offense. He is, and shout out, I think, who was it? DeJounte or Lonnie Walker? I think it was DeJounte. Absolutely sent him to hell this week.
I have to watch that. I don't think I saw that.
Oh my God, he put him on his ass with a crossover in the middle of the lane. It was everywhere.
I don't know how I missed that.
Instagram House of Highlights or something. Oh, he snatched his soul. He snatched his soul and it was perfect. I'm watching it thinking, oh no, please tell me he stepped on his foot. Oh my God, he didn't even step on his foot. Like, it was so bad.
Oh, Trae Young crossed. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah. It was
Ooh, good Lord. Yeah. No, that was DeMar.
Was it DeMar?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no. It was DeJounte. I thought at first it was DeMar, but it's DeJounte.
I mean, he snatched. And Trae Young.
Good God.
I'm not making this up. Trae Young, by every metric, and this is per Zach Lowe, because I didn't actually see the stat. I just heard him say this.
Worst defensive player in the league, right?
No, in history.
What?
Yes.
Holy shit.
He's the worst defensive player for the first 2 years of his career in history.
Good Lord.
And that's part of that is he's played way more minutes than any other point guard in the first 2 years.
And he's on a horrible team.
And he's on a horrid team. But, whoa. Like, he is that bad at defense. And Ja Morant is good at defense. And Ja Morant just has that. Like, you can tell the dude learned to play basketball by playing it. Like, not by sitting in a gym and shooting from 40 feet over and over and over again like Trae Young did. Not by doing all the drills to become this unbelievable ball handler. Like, his game is all feel. He just played and played and played, and you can tell. He doesn't need the ball. He knows where to be. He sees the pass before he even has the ball. Like, Trae Young creates these great passes off the dribble, off the drive, all those things. Ja Morant can be standing still, catch the ball, and know where he's going with it 5 seconds before he's even got it. He sees the play before the play. He sees the pass before the pass. I like him way more than Trae Young in these first half a year. Like, because Trae Young was terrible at this point last year.
Oh, yeah. And
Ja Morant has his team in the playoffs in the West.
Who had the better rookie season, Ja or Luka?
I'm going to lean Ja right now. Like,
I'm
obviously, the jump he would have to make in year 2 to get to what Luka is right now.
Because Luka's an MVP
Luka
right now.
Is legitimately first-team All-NBA with Harden right now. Like, it's... Depending on how you classify LeBron, guard or forward, those are the first, like, that's first team All NBA guards, unless LeBron is a guard.
One thing I remember that we were going to do, we talked about it after the show last week. Let's run through it quick. And then I want to get into the Kyrie stuff.
Okay.
But we got to do all-star teams.
Yeah.
Do you have yours?
Yeah. I mean,
is it what? How do we want to do this? Do we want to just say who we think deserves it, or who we want, or what do we? Just starters?
Yeah, let's just do starters.
Because I look at the fan vote, and I think good Lord, if all you're doing is looking at the fan vote, you have no idea who's good.
You want to do how about we do 5 locks and 5 other guys?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. So you want to do West or East?
Let's start with the East.
Okay, locks. Giannis.
Obviously, Kemba.
I'm gonna lock Siakam. I think he's a lock. Before he got hurt, he was playing at an MVP level, and he has come back and played well. And Toronto is in the 3 seed, if only by a game out of the 6. They're in the 3. He is the best player on that team. I think he's a lock. Who's the other forward starter in the East? If it's not,
it really could only be Siakam or Tatum.
It's got to be Siakam.
I'd be surprised
if it isn't. Then who's the all-star on Toronto? Kyle Lowry?
Well, no, I think Siakam. Are we just locking him into the All-Star game, or are we locking him in as a starter?
I guess we could do either one. You know what? I'll lock him in as a starter. Yeah. I mean, who's the forward starter in the East?
It would be Tatum. I'm not comfortable locking him into the starter because I think the fan vote could push with how few games he's played recently, and Tatum just having the 40-point game and having played really well recently.
I think the media vote's going to help Siakam a lot.
Yeah, the media vote, player vote might help too. I don't know how the players feel about.
What's Tatum shooting?
Tatum's getting close. Tatum's been borderline all NBA defensively. I think they're both getting in. If I'm locking all stars to get in, Tatum and Siakam are both getting in. I don't know that I would lock either of them for a starter.
Yeah, I think they're both in for sure. They are both in for sure. But
Tatum's 38% from deep, 39% from deep, 45% overall. He stinks at the rim. PU, but
I'm just you're not putting Tobias Harris in the other slot. You're not putting whoever else in the other slot. I just go. I think it's got to be Siakam.
Yeah, no, that's probably the more likely one. But I could see Tatum getting pushed.
It depends. If you classify Jimmy Butler as a forward, not a guard, I guess Jimmy Butler could be the other forward. But I'm classifying Jimmy Butler as a guard.
I'm gonna lock Kemba into starting at guard. I know the fan vote has Trae Young leading, and I know the fan vote still has Kyrie ahead of him. Thankfully, that only counts for 50%. I think Kemba's gonna sweep the media and the players.
Kyrie's not in the same category as Kemba because of games played alone. Again, what's Jimmy Butler? I need to know what Jimmy Butler is, guard or forward, because he's starting.
Guard. I think it's Kemba and Jimmy Butler.
I think it probably should be.
There's no way Trae Young is getting player votes. There's no way Trae Young is getting media votes.
Oh, he'll get media votes.
No, I don't. Outside of Atlanta.
Yeah, in Atlanta, who covers the Hawks?
But that's what I'm saying.
No, seriously, who covers the Hawks? I don't know.
who's going to be voting for Trae Young that covers Eastern Conference teams?
I don't. Yeah, that's it.
Everybody that covers the Eastern Conference knows how horrible he is defensively.
It's true.
Nobody's going to look at that guy and be like, "This is an all-star starter."
Bradley Beal, he's averaging 27.
But he's on an awful team.
Yeah, but he's always on an awful team.
It's helped. The thing that helps Kemba, even though his numbers aren't quite there, he's still averaging 25 or something.
I think it'll probably be Kemba. I'm just throwing out other names.
And he's on a good team.
It could be. But yeah, I think it's probably Kemba. Jimmy Butler has to be a guard. I'm sorry, Jimmy Butler has to be a guard. So
I think
Kemba,
Jimmy,
Giannis,
and
Pascal Siakam, and Embiid.
Yeah, that's fair. That's probably it.
Yeah.
And then you have on the bench Tatum, maybe Jaylen Brown.
I don't think he's going to get in.
I don't either.
All-stars for the Celtics.
I think he was getting in last week, and now I don't think he is anymore.
Just because, which team is getting 3 in the East? I don't think any team's getting 3.
Who else gets in? So Ben Simmons probably gets in.
Bam.
Yeah, definitely.
Dinwiddie, nah.
Does Levine go?
Yeah, God, you got to. I mean, I know they're not any good, but they're not putrid. They're not really bad. They're 16 and 28. They're not good by any means.
Right.
But they're not really bad, and he is... look, the All-Star game doesn't mean you're one of the best players in the NBA. It means you're one of the biggest stars.
Right.
And Zach LaVine is a star.
Derrick Rose goes, right?
He has to, too. That's another one. Just even if you have to do the D-Wade thing where you just put him in, just put him in.
Yeah.
Just get him there. But I like LaVine. Domantas Sabonis has to go.
I think the thing that's going to help Levine too is I don't believe he's one of the 12 best players in the East, but I think like 7 of the 12 guys who are better have been hurt long enough that they aren't getting in ahead of him.
If Embiid can't play, there's an injury replacement right there. I think it's. I mean,
is that Drummond?
Out, so please God no. They don't do position. They take the next best guy.
So that could be how Jaylen Brown gets in.
It could be how D Rose gets in.
True.
It could be how Dinwiddie gets
I think D Rose has enough of the fan vote and the media fawns over him enough that I think players love him.
And coaches too will vote for D Rose.
Yeah, so he's getting in. I think on his own merit.
He's had 8 straight 20+ point games. Something.
Yeah,
like that.
He's been pretty good. He's been nice.
I'm just thinking that's 1 for Milwaukee.
Yeah, I don't think they have another one. Middleton,
1 All-Star.
Middleton has. I mean, Giannis is far and away the MVP, right?
Oh, you're right, but I mean,
Middleton's been down. Brook Lopez has been down. Who's their other star? Dante DiVincenzo's been their second best player. He's not going to the All-Star game.
I just think they're gonna have 40+ wins before the All-Star.
Isn't that insane? When the Warriors were 40-6, they sent 4 guys.
When the Hawks were 40-6, they sent 4 guys. Korver, Teague, Millsap, and Horford all made the All-Star team.
Does Bledsoe go just because he's a known commodity?
I hope not, because he's not an all-star. That's
I know.
what we're talking about. I think Eric Bledsoe is better for winning right now than Trae Young is.
But
if you switched him, it is what it is.
That's the thing about Milwaukee. It's funny. You look at the league has become this dynamic duo deal where it's every team has 2 stars, and then you look at Milwaukee. They have 1 star, and they're the best team by far.
I mean,
they just have a ton of pieces that work really well together.
What's Middleton averaging? Is there anything?
I mean, Middleton also has the bump because he made it last year, so. He's
19.5 points should not get you into the All-Star game. I'm sorry.
What's the rest of his counting stats?
6 and 4.
I mean, it's better than Ben Simmons.
Yeah, but Ben Simmons has to do something to help his team win every night, and Chris Middleton's just out there.
Ben Simmons getting in at 15.5, 8, and 7.
Ben Simmons is getting in.
I know, but he shouldn't.
He's very, very good on defense. He's a star. Again, this is about being a star.
I know, and that's the part that sucks, because really, should you take Ben Simmons and his 15, 8, and 7, or Jaylen Brown and his 23 and 7? With both of them being very good defenders this season.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough call, but again, 3 guys versus 2 guys.
Sure,
you can't give it.
And that's going to be the tough part of it. Yeah. And I think coaches and players, and certainly, media might be waning on Ben Simmons, but coaches and players, I think, will vote him.
There's 12 slots for the All-Star game. Which teams aren't getting a guy? The Knicks, the Cavs, the Hornets, possibly the Bulls if Levine doesn't get in. The Pistons.
I think the Bulls are getting a guy. I'll say the Bulls are getting a guy.
But it wouldn't be the first time. I remember the All-Star game was in LA 2 years ago and there wasn't an All-Star from either.
Brooklyn's not getting an All-Star. If Kyrie doesn't get a ton of votes from
Kyrie's gonna get in. Even if the media freaking hates him, and you know it's gonna happen. He's made the All-Star team every year but his rookie year.
Who gets in, Beal or Kyrie?
If it comes down to that, you have to take Beal for games played.
And then Brooklyn doesn't get an All-Star.
I still think Dinwiddie should make it, but
I think it's, and I know it's not fair, but I think it's tough for Kyrie to get in with how much time that he missed.
It is. It is for sure. It absolutely is.
Do the Magic get an All-Star? Aaron Gordon's played really well, but I don't think he's an All-Star.
Not Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon needs to get traded. That game the other night should have been his last game. Somebody should have came and got him. Vucevic hasn't played enough, and he hasn't played well enough when he has played. He's played okay, but he got a lot of money, and he's not living up to that. No, Orlando's not going to get one.
Is it possible that the East, all of their All-Stars come from 8 teams, and 2 of them aren't playoff teams? 3 of them aren't playoff teams? Because you look at the Knicks, the Cavs, the Hornets, the Pistons, the Nets, the Magic. If none of them have All-Stars, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams with All-Stars.
There's a chance Trae Young doesn't make it. If the fan vote
he's number 1 in the fan vote.
I know, but if he doesn't get in on the fan vote, if the fan vote is not enough to make him a starter, then remember, the fan vote doesn't count for reserves. That's just coaches, players, and media.
That's actually a good point. If he doesn't get starter,
if he is not in as a starter, it's not a guarantee that he's in. I think he will get in, that being said, but there's a chance he doesn't.
I'd be surprised if he dropped from number 1 vote getting guard to not even a starter.
Wasn't Zaza number 1 once?
Was he really?
It can happen.
I mean, Taco Fall was
Yeah,
sixth on the list.
It can, if he does not get in as a starter, because remember, it's only 50%. It's not even 50%, right? It's 25,
No, it's 50%.
It's 50. If he doesn't get in as a starter, if Kemba and Jimmy Butler are the two starting guards, he's gonna have trouble. Like, he's gonna go up against Bradley Beal, and okay, well, numbers are similar. Bradley Beal's team is a little bit better, not a whole lot better, but a little bit better. That's a tough one. Like, media will probably take Bradley Beal.
Yeah. What about the West? So the locks: LeBron, AD, Jokic.
Did we get to 12 in the East?
Oh, did we?
I don't know. I said Sabonis.
So Kemba, Jimmy Butler, Giannis. Who was the other wing? Siakam and Embiid. And then you add in Sabonis,
Bam,
Tatum, Lowry, Trey. We're at 10. D Rose and Levine, 12.
God, that's a shitty All-Star team.
It's not a good All-Star team.
It's a shitty All-Star team. The West isn't that much better, but
How early does D Rose get picked in the draft, too? He might go quick.
could be. It's possible. Well, they got to take the starters first.
Yeah, but he might go
He
quick.
could be one of the first reserves. LeBron would take them quick.
In the West, we got LeBron and AD for sure locked.
No, I have all 5 starters locked.
LeBron, AD, Paul George, Kawhi.
LeBron.
Neither
AD.
Kawhi or Paul George starting.
No. Unless you don't have to start a center. If you don't have to start a center, then Kawhi starts.
I was putting AD at center in my mind.
I was. AD. If you don't have to start a center, Kawhi starts. If you have to start a center, Jokic starts. If you don't have to start a center, then AD, Bron, Kawhi, Luka, Harden.
Okay.
If you do have to start a center, Jokic, AD, LeBron, Luka, Harden. Harden's averaging 37.5 points per game.
Yeah.
Like, he had 34 last night. I didn't even notice. Like, he was 16 for 18 from the line. But I literally...
I can't argue
He
that.
had 34 last night, and I was like, wait a minute, what?
I can't
thought
argue.
It was just Westbrook.
I can't argue Harden out.
Yeah.
Does Westbrook get in? No. Westbrook's not an All-Star
Gonna
this
get
year.
it. I know, he should not.
That's
By every
horrible.
metric, he should not. He absolutely should not. But there's no Steph, there's no Clay, there's just enough hurt guys in the West that he's going to get in.
The question that really is interesting, because the thing with the All-Star game, once you don't make it, it's really hard to make it again. But is Chris Paul done enough?
I wish I could remember the exact number. But, again, another per Zach Lowe stat. Chris Paul has been the most clutch shooter in the NBA all year by the numbers. I think it's something like in the last 5 minutes of a game within 5 points or something, he is number one in every shooting metric. In the last 3 minutes, he's far and away number one, and he's something like 5 for 9 in the last minute.
That's incredible.
So everything he's done clutch-wise, a team that was supposed to just be throwing in the towel and rebuilding is 3 games behind Houston, the team that traded him away, and gaining. So, yeah, he probably has done enough. And the media freaking loves Chris Paul. He's the president of the Players Association. Yeah. The players, though, if you ask Rajon Rondo, the players do not like Chris Paul. So Chris Paul he should get in.
I don't think that the players like him.
Oh, I don't either.
But I don't think the players like Russell Westbrook either.
I know they don't like Russell Westbrook.
So it's like...
How about Russell Westbrook the other night thinking it's a good idea to start talking shit to Dame, who literally ended your Oklahoma City career last year and waved you goodbye as you left with your head hung. You think it's a good idea to talk shit when you're down by however many points the other night to them?
I don't think Russell Westbrook's going to make it. I really don't.
He is the worst volume shooter in the NBA. That's not an exaggeration. The worst. He does not deserve to make it.
Fans don't really care for him anymore. Media hates
he still
him.
Has his fans. The fans who love Russ because he plays so hard. And
when it's only 50%, a lot of fans that really
definitely not getting in as a starter.
Don't care for him. Media hates him, and coaches and players don't like him. Okay. I think he's in trouble.
Name me the guards then. So we got Luka and Harden, Devin Booker,
Chris Paul.
No Drew Holiday.
Do you put out a branch for Donovan Mitchell to grab onto? So Russell Westbrook is not making the All-Star team.
Oh, no. I didn't even say Dame yet.
Yeah. So that's...
Dame's a lock, by the way.
I'm not putting Russell Westbrook on this All-Star team.
He shouldn't make it. He should
if we have our starters locked, right? LeBron, AD, Harden, Luka, and Jokic. We have our starters. So we need 7 other guys.
Paul George and Kawhi.
That's 2 forwards.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to add guards, we got Chris Paul.
Dame first.
So Dame. Mitchell,
Mitchell
Booker.
should be second. It should be Booker or it should be Chris Paul. One of those two. Russell Westbrook should not be in consideration for one of those two. It should be those two picking.
I'll say
Booker
Dame, Mitchell, Chris Paul because Chris Paul's on a playoff team. Fair?
Yeah, but God, that's not fair to Devin Booker though. Like it's fair to us. It's fair in the scope of things. But Devin Booker has been so fucking good. He's been better than Chris Paul. Like he's been so good. And he deserves to get there, and he's not going to get there. And if he doesn't get there this year, and then Steph and Clay come back, I don't know when he's ever going to make an All-Star team. And if he were in the East, he would have made it every single year he's been in the NBA except his rookie year.
What about Brandon Ingram?
Yeah, he's in. Forward, though.
But that gets us to 11. So then we need another center. Is it Gobert?
Should be.
Or is it Montrezl Harrell?
No, it's not Montrezl Harrell.
Or is it...
They don't let subs. If they'll let a sub in, it's Lou Will.
Like, who's the other center in the West? Steven Adams? It would have to be Gobert,
I know you
right?
have to vote for center for All-NBA. Do you have to do centers in the All-Star game, or can you?
It's
is everybody a forward?
it's guards and forwards.
Then no, Gobert's not gonna make it. Like it sucks again, but no, he's not gonna make it. Like,
So who's the other who's the final forward?
okay, so we're at. Let me run through one more time. AD. Let's say we don't have to have a center starting. So AD, Bron, Kawhi, Luka, Harden, Paul George, Dame, Mitchell, CP, Jokic. I didn't say Jokic because
Does Ja Morant get in?
no, the rookies don't get in.
Did Luka make it last year? I thought not. I thought he just meant because I know LeBron didn't even make it.
They get their own game. Man, now it starts to get thin at forward. It's real. Cat, he's been hurt, but numbers are the numbers.
That's a replacement player though. That's
Brandon
how
Ingram. So now we're at
Cat
12. So
Cat
Brandon
is how
Ingram's
Devin
11.
Booker gets in.
Brandon Ingram's 11, and then it's between Cat, it's between Chris Paul, it's between I don't know. That 12th spot is up for grabs. I
think
hope it's Devin Booker.
I think it's Cat and Devin Booker gets in as a replacement.
Could. I mean, that'd be poetic. He gets in for his friend.
Anyway, that's our All-Star stuff. We'll cover it more next week. We got to talk a little bit about Kyrie, and then we got to jump into the NFL, and we'll just cover that briefly heading into Super Bowl in 2 weeks. Turns out Kyrie is the problem.
Just stay the fuck out of the locker room, man.
That's where I'm at now. Like,
Who's coming into the Nets locker room? Who's out here trying to get in?
how are you so lacking in self-awareness that you, as the only player who consistently has this issue, this specific issue of leadership being called into question, and it's not like reporters aren't lining up and going, Kyrie, do you hate your teammates? He just says shit out of nowhere.
That was my favorite thing about the whole thing is they went through. I was watching Get Up, and they went through the whole thing. They showed his response. They played all of it, and then Jalen goes, "What was the question?"
Yeah.
I want to know what the question was.
Because I always hear the quote, and it's like, we've got guys, when KD comes back, we've got guys in place, and we've got some pieces that we don't really need. And he's very clearly taking Joe Harris and throwing him off a cliff.
And Jared Allen.
Yeah, and it's like, maybe just don't shit on your teammates. It turns out he is the problem, because it's like when you go up and then you're like, we're in an entertainment industry, whatever the fuck that means. And he's like, we do it for the fans and the media, and you guys create your own narratives and your own stories. Dude, when you are the only player in the league that consistently has this exact problem,
It's like,
maybe it's you.
it's that meme. It's like, why do you want me to hate you? Like, why do you want me to hate you? You've been gone for weeks. I forgot about you. Like, you didn't talk. You broke the rule of not talking and got fined by the NBA, whatever it was. You did all these things where they lost 7 in a row and nobody even cared because you were gone and KD isn't playing. And then you come back, and now we're not talking about the Nets because they lost 7 in a row or because they're in the 8th spot and they need a playoff push. We're talking about the Nets because you're a freaking idiot again. Like, that's the only reason we've talked about the Nets all year. I just want to make that very, very clear. The Nets have had an up-and-down season. Karis LeVert has gotten hurt. They've had a kind of a weird fit at center. Wilson Chandler came back from suspension. David Nwaba got hurt.
Yeah.
Other people. There's been a lot of Nets stories that don't get reported on or covered. The only time we're going to talk about the Nets is when Kyrie says some dumb shit.
Or when KD gets in a fight on Twitter.
Yeah. That's when we talk about the Nets. When Kyrie says dumb shit or KD types dumb shit.
Is there a less likable player in the NBA than Kyrie Irving?
Chris Paul.
But is he really? Because
Don't
at
look at
least when Chris Paul does dumb shit, I laugh. Like when Kyrie does dumb shit, I go, It actually makes me angry. I literally feel bad for Nets fans who have to defend Kyrie brain.
The difference is when Chris Paul does shit, I'm just like, Chris Paul's a dick. When Kyrie does shit, I'm just like, huh? I know exactly what it is. When Chris Paul does shit, I know it's because he's a dick. When Kyrie does shit, I have no idea what the motivation is behind it. None.
What does he get out of going out there and being like, yeah, I like Karras, I like DJ, I like
Garrett Temple,
right?
Really.
I like
Garrett, should have said.
I like GT.
I
like GT.
Not Joe Harris.
Nothing
Garrett
about
Temple.
Joe Harris.
Make sure we hang on to Garrett Temple.
Nothing about Jared Allen. We got to go out and I'll let the front office do it, and we got to get a few pieces. But I like GT, I like DJ, I like Karras, I like Spence. Why do you have to create that void? Why do you have to create that wall in your locker room? And then you tell reporters, stay the fuck out of the locker room.
The goodwill that
It's their job.
The goodwill I had with Sean Marks as a GM is gone. And I know that's not fair, but it's everything to me. It's like, this guy can't control it. There's been one good GM with David Griffin. Never let it get out. He's gone. It's out. He wants out, right? The whole thing happens. Danny Ainge keeps everything under wraps. He gets traded. All the shit comes out. Now he's with a GM who can't control him at all. Yes, Kyrie had some outbursts in the media last year. Not even outbursts, just really fucking weird quotes and interviews that I don't get. But at the same time, you knew that Danny Ainge was like...
I had to call up Ron.
Yeah, at least somewhat controlling things. Or controlling the other players. I have no faith that Sean Marks is going to keep Jared Allen level-headed.
Do we think that... Marks is doing the same things Ainge did last year, where he's giving Kyrie the private plane, letting him fly separately from the team, giving him the preferential treatment, all the star stuff.
We know that's what they're doing.
Right.
Because that's why they got him and KD, because they were willing to do whatever it took to make a superstar feel at home.
It's like... I'm losing respect not only for Sean Marks, I'm losing respect for Kenny Atkinson, who has clearly shown a complete inability to manage his player. But the shoulder stuff coming out, the medical teams, all of that.
Not saying it's bursitis, then it is bursitis.
All of the way that the front office, from Marks down to the coaching staff, down to the medical staff, has handled the Kyrie drama has been horrible.
Quick aside, not really an aside, but worth noting. Not that he's been great in Chicago or anything, but Chris Fleming leaving Brooklyn's bench to become the essentially offensive coordinator of the Bulls, because Jim Boylan is such a moron, is a loss for the Nets. Their offense was really good, and now they don't have D'Angelo Russell or Chris Fleming. Not that Chris Fleming has been great as an assistant in Chicago, but he was great in Brooklyn with their offense.
And so here's the real question about Brooklyn going forward. Now that we know Kyrie is... this is who Kyrie is going forward. He's going to be the dude who goes into a locker room and sets it on fire. That's who he is.
I feel like that's not a good enough analogy. Because guys set things on fire. Kyrie does something a step beyond setting it on fire. You can live in the heat.
He's like anthrax.
He's like an avalanche. He just swallows everything. There's no air. It's just... I guess there's no air and fire either. Well,
he's like a black hole, dude.
Yeah,
he goes into, he sucks all of the light out of a locker room.
Guys, there are fire starters who you can stand. He's not starting fires. He's just obliterating life.
You cannot say enough about how good of a situation Brooklyn was 6 months ago. 8 months ago.
Young all-star point guard, good players around him, future all-star big man.
A 6th man of the year candidate in Spencer Dinwiddie.
An entire coaching staff you extended.
A guy in Karis LeVert who, when healthy, could put you over the top as a real contender as you grow older.
Great for you in the playoffs. I know
youthful bigs and Jared Allen. You had so much promise. And now I'm looking at him and I'm going, we know Kyrie is anthrax. We know this guy's a black hole. We know who KD is. He's a weird cat who everybody lives in Brooklyn. KD's going to live in Manhattan. Like in Golden State, everybody lives in Oakland. KD's living in San Francisco. He just is. Him and Kyrie and DJ are going to be in the compound, fenced in and on a yacht, playing poker and smoking cigars, while the rest of the Nets team does an escape room. And it's like, I hate escape rooms. That is what these guys are, though. And it's... If KD comes back and he's only 75% of the scorer he was before he ruptured his Achilles, what's the ceiling for the Nets? They put all their chips in the middle, and now the East only got better.
They're capped
out. they could not be in a worse position right now.
The good thing is they have an owner with endless pockets, so it's not like he's going to be like, "Oh, we got to get under the luxury tax." Like the guy,
he won't
Chinese
care.
Twitter or whatever the hell it is.
He won't care.
Yeah, or Chinese Amazon, whatever it is. And they could be. The thing for me is, I understand that they're best friends. I guess I didn't know about that till last year.
I know. Who knew?
I guess they're best friends. Like, if it doesn't work on the court, they have personalities that, like, neither one is going to be like, hey, we got to sit down and talk about this. They're going to go to their separate corners. They're going to pout. They're going to brood. And then KD's going to get on Twitter. And it could all go tits up really quick.
Yeah. And
I said tits up today. But it's
I've
a
done
recipe
it
for disaster.
I've done it a couple times. The Wolverine meme when he's laying in bed looking at the photo frame. I've put Al Horford in there and had him looking at Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum very longingly. It could very well happen that Kevin Durant is laying in that bed looking at a picture of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and wishing that he never left.
Draymond, just like, please call me a bitch again. Just call me.
Please put me in my place.
Just tell me you don't need me.
I would be lying if I said I didn't have concerns.
I mean, I definitely have concerns. Like, the thing for me is, if KD does come back and is healthy, any team Kevin Durant is on is an immediate championship contender because he is the best offensive player in the NBA.
Maybe he's the best wing scorer of all time. He's the best pure wing
He might be
ever.
the best pure scorer ever.
Right.
Like, that's what that dude is. And when he's engaged defensively, he's also good. I don't know that he'll ever engage defensively again after that.
No, yeah, I don't think he will.
Probably over for him on defense.
He's going to do the LeBron deal and start guarding point guards or something.
Yeah, he'll just float around.
Whoever the least threatening offensive player is.
I'll say this, though. Everybody talked for 3 years about how much improvement Kevin Durant had defensively. It's a lot easier to play defense when Draymond Green's helping.
Yep. It's going to be tough when you got DeAndre Jordan as your lockdown center. No, I do. I just, you look at the rest of the East and how much better it's gotten, especially at the top six, and I think it's an uphill climb for the Nets, even when they get KD back, because you're coming off the worst injury a 7-footer can suffer.
And teams are going to make moves. It's not like...
this isn't all happening in a vacuum.
And Miami, as the years go on, is going to get better because they're going to get more money. Like,
yep. They're Miami.
They're teams that position to be better than Brooklyn going... Like, again, KD is the wild card. He comes back and he's 100%. They're going to be outstanding.
I mean, and you look what even Boston did in their division. I'm not saying Boston's a title contender. Right now, they're kind of proving that they aren't really title contenders. But Danny Ainge kind of just put together a stopgap that's going to keep them competitive until the point comes where Jalen and Jason are both on maxes and they're both all-star, all-NBA caliber players, and then you just add in the filler.
If he's off Gordon Hayward's money, Boston can do a lot.
Yeah, a ton.
Yeah.
And that's the situation that Kevin Durant is walking into off of the worst injury you can have in sports. And I've got major concerns.
For sure.
We've got roughly 10 minutes. Let's transition over to the NFL. San Francisco and Kansas City is officially the Super Bowl matchup.
I'm good with that.
I am too. I think it's going to be the highest rated Super Bowl of all time.
It's going to be high scoring, I hope. Like, I know
San
Francisco has a mean defense, but I'm guessing Mahomes is going to put up some numbers.
Yeah. Could the NFL have asked for a better matchup in their 100th year than a team on a 50-year drought and maybe their third biggest brand, I would argue?
Just to have, like, a better brand name quarterback, because quarterbacks are everything, especially Super Bowl weekend. But no, like, it's pretty damn good.
It's going to be tough when they have to sell Mostert and Nick Bosa. Yeah. But people are just going to pump Pat Mahomes down your throat.
Right. And they'll just sell Kyle Shanahan.
They have Kyle Shanahan. They can sell Richard Sherman. They can sell Nick Bosa.
Kittle.
They can sell George Kittle. People love Kittle.
Oh, yeah.
They can sell Deebo Samuel. They can sell Deebo Samuel. But the Mahomes and Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be a tough set.
Jimmy Garoppolo, how many did he finish with today? His whopping
6 passes.
6 for 8 for 77 yards.
8 passes.
6 for 8. Can't beat that completion percentage.
They might have liked to have Rodgers. The problem is that Packers team would have gotten run off of the field if they were on the same field as the Chiefs team.
Yeah.
I mean,
it would have been fun for like 25 minutes.
What the Chiefs put together against Houston, going down 24-0, and then just blowing them out, and then against Tennessee going down 17-7, and then just blowing them out. Yeah. They're going to be, 4.5-point favorites? Has it come out yet?
I have not seen it.
Last I saw, the AFC was a 4.5-point favorite in the Super Bowl, and I have a hard time imagining that Kansas City wouldn't be the favorite. Super Bowl, Kansas City's laying a point.
Well, see if it rains. It's Miami. Like, if Patrick Mahomes can't let it rip and all you're going to do is run a ball and it's raining, yeah, I like San Francisco.
Well, yeah, they don't have a running game, so that would be trouble. But it isn't. Can't Miami convert to an indoor stadium? Hard Rock can't convert. I thought Hard Rock had a retractable dome or something.
It covers the seats, doesn't cover the field.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's, well, trouble. What do you think? What do we think about Aaron Rodgers and his inability to get back to a Super Bowl? That's the real storyline that comes.
Quarterback in the NFC North.
Like, I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk too much about Ryan Tannehill and Mike Vrabel. They did more than anybody thought they could have.
Sure.
They vastly overachieved, and that team has a really bright future because they're going to either draft or sign a quarterback in free agency.
They're going to sign Ryan Tannehill.
Probably.
Vrabel's
a very good coach. He proved to me.
It sucks that they made it that far because now you have to keep him.
That does stink.
Now it's like, well, we could have got off Tannehill if we'd have lost last week.
The story about Mahomes, it's too easy. He's the best player in the NFL. Yeah. Period. He's not going to win the MVP because Lamar was insane. But
because he was hurt and he missed games. And
Mahomes is the best player in the NFL.
Voter fatigue's a real thing. Like,
yep.
It's tough to win 2 in a row.
And then the 49ers story, we already went over it. It's defense first. They run the shit out of the ball. They'll punch you in the mouth. Kyle Shanahan's that coach. They're creative. The Packers really struggled to stop the run straight play.
Jimmy Garoppolo is just good-looking Trent Dilfer.
He is so good-looking.
Spot the lie.
he is so good-looking.
The jawline is outstanding, but the yards aren't great.
No, not... Yeah. And the usage,
line, really good.
You said it before. Kyle Shanahan made Matt Ryan, who is not good.
Took an average quarterback, made him MVP.
He let Jimmy Garoppolo throw 8 passes in a championship game.
It's like, I can make an average quarterback look like Joe Montana in his prime, but this guy, I'm going to make you look like Trent Dilfer.
But what do we think about Aaron Rodgers, Sean Hill with a State Farm endorsement, and his inability to get back to the Super Bowl?
Can I just say, Sean Hill's 50-yard Hail Mary in Nashville in a game that I believe they lost is still one of my favorite Lions memories of all time, and that's just says enough about the Lions. But what they could get to Aaron Rodgers' inability to get to a Super Bowl. What was it, 2010?
Yeah. With a number 1 defense. You said it before. Clay Matthews won Defensive Player of the Year.
He was, if not, was that in the middle of when he won 2 out of 3? He won a lot of Defensive Player.
He damn near got a Madden cover.
He was outstanding. And arguably better in those State Farm commercials than Aaron. But, like we said this earlier, closer to Flacco than Brady.
Oh, yeah. Aaron Rodgers is absolutely closer to Flacco than Brady. Absolutely.
I mean, he's talent level, he's obviously closer to Brady.
Yes.
But career-wise, not even close to Brady.
And it's weird because Aaron Rodgers, for whatever reason, is always the one who gets put into the greatest of all time discussion because he's the most talented quarterback who ever touched a football field. But holy shit, for the most talented quarterback who's ever played this game, he sure loses a lot.
Is he the best Packers quarterback ever?
No, Brett Favre is better.
I think so, probably. Like, I know there's a ton of people who would argue that I'm out of my mind and Brett Favre threw 1 billion interceptions.
Can you imagine, all right, if Brett Favre played for these Chiefs?
Oh, shit.
I mean, think about that.
Just in this era where you throw it 55 times. It doesn't even have to be for the Chiefs. If Brett Favre played for a team that let him throw it 50 times,
if
he'd throw 4 interceptions every game.
Well, he might even, if he played for the Chiefs, he might not. You have Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins and Mecole Hardman just outrunning everybody. Yeah. He would have been living his life in the backfield.
I'll just say this. I still think he could play. Like, if somebody called and said, hey, Brett Favre's going to start this game for us next week, I'd be like, all right. Well.
Did you see that Dan Marino said in his prime he could throw for 6,000 yards and 60 touchdowns in this league?
Fuck off, Dan Marino. Like this, I hate when old people do this, and I'm going to take it back to basketball all the time. When Paul Pierce last year on the jump said, if I were playing today, I could average 40. Do you think you're better than James Harden?
The only player that this works for, and this I believe this wholeheartedly, where you go, I could pluck a player out of this era and he would legitimately be better if he were playing today. The only player that I believe this works for, Larry Bird.
Barry Sanders.
Would he be better?
Yeah, because they'd throw him the ball too.
Oh, okay. Okay, I you know what? I'll take
Larry
it.
Bird is true. You're like, yeah, but Barry
Larry
Sanders
Bird.
also.
Larry Bird would be Klay Thompson, but 6'10".
There's probably a billion baseball guys, but that doesn't fucking count.
I don't even think that's true. That's one thing because I was asked who's a player you would like to take from an old era and put in the league today, and I said I want Babe Ruth on the mound because I want whoever that guy, I can't remember his name, from the Mets, put a fastball on the moon. The dude who led the league in home runs. What's his name?
Oh, this year.
Yeah.
Oh shit. He's a rookie.
Pete Alonso.
Yes. I was not even close. I was going way different than that. But yes.
Step up to the plate, let Babe Ruth pipe you a fastball, and put that fucker on the moon.
Like I would be very interested to see what Babe Ruth would do with a Justin Verlander backdoor curve.
Yeah, nothing good.
Like,
I can't imagine.
Fastball slower than that.
That's
So-
Ted Williams, the greatest hitter of all time. Really? If I put him up against Aroldis Chapman, do I think he's going to connect one time?
Give me Miggy. Give me Miggy in his prime.
Yeah, Miggy's, and I will take this to my grave, Miggy's the greatest right-handed hitter I've ever seen in my life.
I love that it's like the biggest week for baseball in the world, and this is the baseball we're talking about.
Well, I don't give a shit about the cheating.
I don't
All right,
care at all.
you want my cheating take?
Sure.
Let him fucking cheat.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I'm all for it.
let him cheat.
Yeah, like just do it. Like baseball is the sport where this is accepted. You do whatever the fuck you want, just win.
Baseball and cheating are like bacon and eggs, and the governing body of baseball has never been able to figure it out.
Nope.
Pete Rose did it.
Yep.
Pete Rose cheated. Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens and Andy Pettitte and A-Rod and Sammy Sosa and Mark McGuire and Ken Griffey all cheated.
Oh, Ken Griffey.
I know, but I'm just throwing everybody. I'm
Gotta
throwing
be
them all.
careful.
The era. I'm throwing them all out there.
You're right.
They all
that's
cheated.
What sucks for Ken Griffey is he probably didn't, and he's in that era.
The fucking 1920s White Sox cheated. Everybody cheating in baseball is bacon and eggs. Let them cheat.
I'm with it.
Let them cheat.
I hope they're wearing nipple pasties with buzzers on them.
Baseball has never been as good as it is right now, and it's not even in season.
It was
Let them
more
cheat.
relevant this week than it has been since the Cubs won the World Series. Like, since that day when, oh my God, the Cubs won the World Series, that's a national story for 5 minutes.
It helped
Like,
that was maybe the greatest baseball game ever played. But
right, exactly. Like, that's... And it was gone in a month. You stopped hearing about it a month later. Yeah.
I did not care
They
a month
went on
later.
SNL, they sang the song, it's very nice. Dexter Fowler plays for a different team now. Like, baseball isn't ever relevant.
They can't get
in
rid of Addison
January,
Russell fast
let alone-
enough.
Yeah. Like, it is... The Twitter things that were coming out, like, baseball just became NBA Twitter for a night.
Yeah, it
Like,
was.
what's happening?
It still is.
Like,
It's
oh, this is
incredible.
Beltran's niece. No, this is a burner account for a player. I was like, oh, baseball's spicy. What's happening?
It was like, oh, this cheating scandal. This is really sad. And then it was like,
No, this is
oh, by the way,
great.
Jose Altuve and Alex Bregman were wearing buzzers. And I'm like, I'm all the fuck in on this.
All right,
Let's
well,
go.
yeah,
Let them
like,
do this
yeah.
shit.
They fired that guy. Now they're gonna fire this guy. And now that guy got fired too.
And people
now
are
we're
like-
just gonna go back to the dark ages and hire Buck Showalter and Dusty Baker.
People are like, oh my God, I can't. They need to take the title away. And I'm like, yes, I very much hope that they overpunish the same way they did with the steroid guys. Yeah. You will never see the Hall of Fame. Yeah. Your legacy is destroyed. I really hope that they overpunish, because what happened after steroid era? You had the worst years for baseball that baseball has ever seen.
Like, yeah, it's still not bad.
Between the steroid era and now, you have the greatest player who's ever played the sport active right now. And you know who gives a shit about Mike Trout? Nobody.
I'm not kidding. 2 people this week that I spoke to, 2 different people, thought his name was Trouts.
See?
Trouts. They're like, did you hear that stuff about Mike Trouts? And I was like, wait, do you mean... Did you just say that as a joke? Like, no. Mike Trouts, did you see it? He's on HGH. And I was like, no, his name's Trout. Oh, is it really? And then another person, and I thought they were fucking with me. Like, did so-and-so tell you to say Trouts? Because, like, no, I thought his name was Trouts. Like, no one knows who that guy is. He's a Q rating lower than Kenneth Fareed.
It's quite literally like the end of the steroid era was the end of baseball's golden age. And baseball needs to realize that when Barry Bonds showed up to spring training with his arm looking like a fucking tree trunk, that was the most electric their sport had ever been.
That before and after a Mike Trout picture on Twitter that was serves like 1 year to the next, and his neck was like Brian Urlacher.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, all right, I didn't notice.
And it's the same thing now. It's like you finally got social media to care. Whatever you're doing right now, keep doing it.
Yeah. This is the most like anyone has talked about baseball. Baseball stars were the biggest stars when we were kids. Like Derek Jeter, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa. Like they were the
Barry
big
Bonds.
stars.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about the like.
Nobody cares about Mike
after
Trout.
Jordan before Kobe. Like nobody was talking about that stuff. There weren't a bunch of stars. The NBA was minus stars, and baseball was huge. And now baseball sucks.
You turn on ESPN, and it was Baseball Tonight, Web Gems, and all of the all the top 10 plays. They do top 10 of the year, and 5 of them were baseball.
No, they still do that because baseball won't put their highlights on Twitter. And they think people will actually stay up till 11 for Carl Ravitch.
It's so dumb. And nobody's staying up for Carl Ravitch. And 2, nobody is overpaying for your shitty streaming service.
I would never buy.
Nobody gives a shit to watch out-of-market baseball games. We don't even want to watch 162 baseball games our own favorite team plays.
Baseball is such a favorite team sport. And more than like anything else.
Because there's too many fucking games.
Fantasy, like baseball is just like you like your team. Like
if you're not gambling on baseball, there's no way you're watching.
Even if they're both amazing, if it's July, I am not going to sit there and watch the Yankees play the Dodgers. I don't fucking care. I know they're the biggest markets. I know they're the biggest teams. It's July. This game doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
I think I'm going to sit here and watch this? No, of course not.
We got a 4-game series starting on a Thursday.
If you miss this one, don't worry. They play 3 more times.
Right. It's
36 innings of baseball. Maybe more.
It's Yankees-Astros cheating revenge. They're going to play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm like, maybe I'll catch Sunday night.
Maybe. Need something to be on in the background for a few hours? We're here. That's really all it is.
I can't believe we went on a baseball tangent to end the show.
Wild.
All right, that's all we got for the Monday mashup this week. See you later.
Super Bowl preview next week.
Let's go.
Hey.
Prop bet special. Let's do it.
Oh, love it.
All right, see ya.